Sacred books are not incorrect. Language is not incorrect. The confusion begins when language is taken as truth itself rather than as a pointer. Many ancient texts were written in language no longer lived in and no longer accessed. Sanskrit, Pali, Uramic, ancient Hebrew. At the time, these were ordinary languages. They were not mystical, they were practical. They were used to point. But today, most do not understand these languages. So, what happens? Words remain, meaning fades, understanding is replaced by reverence. And now you can understand these with some simple examples that why these languages cannot understand now, because in school the kids learning different language, and through that language they navigate the world, they communicate, they understand even everything that is lived in this world. To make homes, to make roads, there is communication needs to happen. You need to read books to become doctor or listen to lectures, and through that knowledge, the knowledge comes to your brain, you store it through memory, then you can actually do things because now you have the knowledge of it. And without the knowledge, nothing happens. So here are some examples. If something is said in language that is not understood, it may sound profound, but nothing has been communicated. If the same thing is said plainly in a language that is understood clearly, the clarity appears immediately. Just like if I say to you now, Surya Ashnan Asti. Do you understand these 3 words or a sentence? Only those will understand who know Sanskrit, the rest won't understand. But if I now speak in a simple language that you can understand, that it means the sun is hot, then that is more accessible, that is more benefit, because you want to know what is the temperature of sun, then you don't need to have a special language. You can tell in any language that the sun is hot, not cold. Doesn't matter what language you understand, that is what is necessary. Another, in Pali language, another sentence, Chando Charanti. Do you understand this line or these 2 words, a sentence? What does it mean? You don't understand this unless you know Pali. But now if it is spoken in the language that you understand, if you understand English, that means the moon moves. And if the desire is there to know that does moon move or how does it function, or earth moves around the moon, then you don't need any ancient language. You can simply know in any language that you understand that can point to that actually the moon moves around the earth, not earth moving around the moon. Then the clarity is there, the knowledge is there, you know the facts. Both sentences may point to the same action, but only one actually reaches the listener. This is not disrespect to the ancient language, it is a respect for understanding. Because knowledge that cannot be understood is not knowledge. It is decoration. Even if I write anything in any, make some scribbles and I show that to you, you will not understand. Books were never meant to be prayed. They were meant to be read, understood, and outgrow. A map is useful only until the place is seen. After that, clinging to the map becomes confusion. What those books were pointing to, not locked inside them. If truth depends on language, then anyone born outside that language would be excluded. If truth depends on book, then truth would be trapped in time, but truth is not historical, it is immediate. Language evolves, words change, meaning shift. What was clear 2000 years ago may now sound abstract, poetic, and unreachable. Not to change the essence, but to remove misunderstanding. So fresh language is required not new truth but new clarity. This is why explanation matters more than repetition. Translation adds another layer. Sometimes the change is innocent, sometimes it is not done on purpose. Imagine a thermometer. Just like if some words I understand now and I read it and they are saying that this is not correct, you should not be doing this, and I want to do that and I understand the language, so I will hide that what is pointing and I will rewrite something that I will tell other people that this is what it means. Because there is agenda hidden in someone that wants to hide what was pointed to, because what was pointed to is undivided. It does not create religions, it does not create groups, it does not create fighting. It is shows that peace is your nature. Now imagine a thermometer. This is an example. It is made correctly. If it is made correctly, everyone agrees boiling water is 100 degrees Celsius. You place the thermometer in boiling water, but the thermometer has been altered. Inside, someone has changed it so that when the boiling water is at 100 degrees, the thermometer shows 40 degrees. The water is still boiling. Nothing about the water has changed, only the instrument showing the truth has been adjusted, and what is adjusted is not the truth, it is the false. Because truth is 100 degrees, thermometer has been altered, now it is showing you completely different picture. Now anyone looking at the thermometer will say it is only warm, 40 degrees. They may even put their hand in and get burnt. Not because water lied, but because the reading was changed. Or imagine another example, a sugar test you do to measure your sugar. If anyone has diabetes, a machine is made to show how much sugar is in the blood. The blood is tested, the number appears, but the machine has been altered to show a lower number than what is actually there. The person feels safe, they stop being careful, damage continues inside the body. The body did not change. The sugar in the blood did not change, reality did not change, only the measurement was altered. This is what happens with words. The truth is still here. The truth never goes anywhere. It cannot be altered, cannot be killed, cannot be destroyed. What is being pointed to in those texts or even now is still here and will remain here. But between the truth and the listener, a layer is added. A translation, an interpretation, a belief, a group, a personal interest. Nothing is removed, nothing is openly denied, only the reading is adjusted. And slowly what pointed to the undivided appears divided. People then trust the book, the teacher, the interpreters, instead of looking directly at what was being shown. And you cannot look directly without the knowledge. A child who is born does not know that moon revolves around the earth or earth revolves. With the language, with the technology, it can see the images. With new technology, it can show, yes, the moon is moving around the earth. Then you use your intelligence, it makes clear that yes, the moon is moving around the earth, and then there is no misunderstanding ever to be. But none of this need to be corrected outwardly. Millions do not need to be convinced. Belief does not need to be attacked, because clarity only matters where there is readiness. When there is genuine interest, not belief, not fear, understanding happens naturally, because you will start listening without any agenda, without any fixed notions. And then when you start listening, everything will make sense. Today, knowledge is not confined to book. Just as maps are no longer limited to paper, new technology can guide step by step. Nothing needs to be searched for, nothing needs to be traveled towards. It is already in the palm of your hand, right where one is. You use your phone right there and then, and you say, I want to go there. Even this Siri and these new AI, you can talk to them and say, can you please take me to this restaurant? And it starts. You don't need to, look into the maps, papers, what page, what direction. All this is required. All what is required is listening. And in that listening, what is being pointed to clarifies itself. Misunderstanding falls away without being corrected. Even a simple device can explain what a word means. This does not make truth weaker, it makes it accessible. Knowledge is not fixed in time. It uses whatever language is alive, even from 100 years from now or thousands of years from now. This English cannot be understood. Maybe it will change. And whatever language is there that needs to be clarified again, the words need to be again modified. Not to change clarity, not to change the truth, just to point out what truth is, what one is, what is that what is called by God divine, how to be free from death, how to be free from birth, how to be free from burdens of this world. What ancient texts were pointing to is still here, not preserved by ritual, not protected by institutions, but available now through clear seeing, immediate, instant. Not through worshipping of words, but through understanding what the words were trying to undo. And that is the function of true knowledge. Not to add something sacred, but to remove misunderstanding. Not to bind truth to language, but to let language dissolve, so what remains is obvious. Because everything you see is you see through the words. When this is, what is this? You already know this is paper. You have learnt all your language. So you see everything through the words, and they are being attached to what you see, and this is how you see the words. And the words are saying you don't need to touch anything from the past, and truth is not in history, not in time, it is beyond everything. And that is the function of true knowledge, not to add something sacred, but to remove misunderstanding, not to bind truth to language, but to let language dissolve, so what remains is obvious. That which is undivided is always present. It was there 5,000 years ago, before even the calendar was made, before even this earth was evolved into this planet as you see, before even anything that you can imagine. It was always there, it is here now, and it will remain as it is. And it never born, it never dies, because what you see, this body, you think that it is born and it will die, but you don't see that light within that does not die, that does not never born. It is not this form that speaks. It is that through which every form functions, through which every fiber vibrates. The forms may disappear, yet that remains always the same, timeless. When listening and speaking is not from a center, it is the very listening itself that listens. It is the very speaking itself that speaks. Nothing is required, and that's what language points to. These words are pointing to that you are not missing anything, but you have gained so much knowledge about yourself, about this world. And that very knowledge is you trying to use to know the reality, to know the truth, to know what is called by many names, God, divine, or whatever. That cannot reach like that, cannot happen like that. But if you leave everything behind, don't touch nothing, then who speaks and who listens? The same speaks, the same listens. Not an image in the phone, not the one who believes listening,